Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I'm your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers. And I'm doing this video at the request of my spirit guides, and I'm considering this a Mother Mary message. To all the Silent 72 Plus, to all the new subscribers, to all of the wonderful people sent wonderful comments from my previous videos. And I'm being asked and directed to do this video now to give a little bit of background and a little bit of understanding as to just exactly where I'm coming from when I talk about my Mother Mary messages. Now, I'm 66 years old. I was born in 1952. At the age of 7, I was raised a Catholic. I saw my first vision of Mother Mary. At the age of 11, um, I was visited in a clearing near my house in Tampa. I was in the woods. I had two rabbits came out of the woods and sat at my feet, and Mother Mary appeared to me, and she said, David, in the future, I'm going to be asking you to talk about things and to do some things, and there are people who are going to call you a heretic, which they have, and that it's going to be an important thing for you to do in the future. Now, that was 55 years plus ago, and she has appeared to me several times. Now, I know that's very hard for a lot of people to understand and say, Mother Mary appeared to you? Yes. I have no reason to try to make up a story, something like that, because in my humble opinion, to use the name of Mother Mary in a negative way and that I'm usurping her name or something like that is just way beyond and out of my realm. It's at her behest that I have this conversation right now. I've been getting my rear end kicked, as it were, spiritually, to have this conversation as a follow up. And there are more things to discuss in the future. But for the many of you who have recently subscribed to my channel, you have no idea how it warms my heart. Mother Mary has patted me on the shoulder and said, I told you, she instructed me to do the video before. I sent it out there hoping that maybe Dante would see it and understand that there are so many of us who are prayer warriors, and whether or not we're part of the original 72, as he discusses on his channel. And I'm not here to talk about Dante or this or that and the other thing, only in that I would like to explain how I feel, what I'm doing, and my promises that I made to Mother Mary, the promises that I've made to my Creator, the promises I've made to my spirit guides or my guardian angel, if you will. I'm very serious about it, and I don't know what else to say. I'm serious. I have dedicated the last 10 years as a prayer warrior. I've stated it many times, and I continue to state it. And people say, well, okay, well, Dave, Hawkeye, what is a prayer warrior? Well, when there are sick people, I pray. When there is confusion, I pray. When I see turmoil on the other side of the planet, I pray. What good does it do? Well, in my opinion, I'm not physically capable of being able to go out and do these things. So, but in my heart, I've been told I can do videos and I can try to bring people together. I can try to bring people together with a common thread, a common thing. Now, I always talk about spirituality. I always talk about raising our frequencies. And there are a lot of people out there, new agers, so forth, talking about moving into fourth and fifth dimensions and all this kind of stuff. And I'm one of these people who's like, listen, I talk about being a shaman. Now I say shaman, and a lot of people go, well, that's pagan and that's this and that. Listen, There have been shamans for thousands of years. Any holy person, any person who seeks to attain a higher spiritual level and understanding is a shaman by definition. Now, I was raised a Catholic. I was an altar boy. I have read the gospel as a commentator in quote in the new church when back in the day when I first started being an altar boy, everything was in Latin and the priest was, faced the wall and, never looked at the audience kind of thing. And so I was there during the Reformation, if you will, when they turned the altar around and the priest started speaking more in English, and they needed commentators as part of the quote, the ritual with the Catholics. And I have been reading the gospel since I was 14 years old in front of a congregation. So there may be people who say, well, you're not a Catholic anymore. No, with the pedophile priest and all the stuff that's been going on. Hello, old soul, blessings to you. There's a lot of things that I have experienced. 4 different priests in the pedophile business back in the late 60s and early 70s. My dear friend, Sister Helene from Tampa Catholic, who after I graduated clued me in on a bunch of stuff about the Vatican. And I told her then I wanted to become a priest, and she warned me. She said, please don't. She told me, David, you should go and study Buddha, because when Jesus disappeared, he went and studied Eastern religions. But the Catholic Church doesn't want anybody to know. And I knew this in 1970. This was told to me by a Dominican nun. So for all these years, I've been having this information and I've been seeing things come out. And when I ran across Dante's channel many years ago, I realized that he was telling me things that made sense, because I was told by a Dominican nun some very similar things. And that, to keep an eye out. She told me back then in 1970 that there's going to be future things that happen with the Vatican and the Pope and this, that, and the other thing. And oh boy, has it just been a barn burner since our conversation in the 1970s, early 1970s. We had many conversations. So with that said, though, now my Mother Mary message that they literally, she's like, get on. She's not going to let me sleep until I got on and did this video. And in my opinion, how I feel about the cause and the Charistus, and I'm not going to go into that too much, because I associate my long-term understanding of Mother Mary, of the Christ consciousness, of the Buddha consciousness, of the consciousness of human beings. Well, okay, I'm going to use the term earthling. Now, I try to stay away from using any kind of terminology that uses the word God. And I'm very specific about that, because so many people have different opinions about God. And in my opinion, this reincarnation that I'm in now, a previous incarnation, I was a real son of a bitch to Native Americans, to the folks who followed the Red Road. I came back in this current reincarnation to walk the red road, to understand what I did in a past life that was so absolutely nasty. And I mean, I was literally found this piece of property I live on now for the last almost 40 years now. I had been on this property 100 years ago. There are spirits that still live in the woods that have communicated to different people, different seers, different psychics over my many years of living here. And they've told me that, like, there's a person back here that knew you when you lived here before. Yeah, how about that? Not a new story to me. Now, with that said, I'm here on this reincarnation because of the bastard things I did before to people. I was not a nice person. And I had to understand what it meant to be a true Native American, to be a true person seeking the red road, what they call it. And so with that, my God is creator. And so instead of using the word God, I most of the time I use creator. Sometimes the great creator. In Native American, it's the Great Spirit. Now, I've been to many, 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 many powwows. I used to do puppet shows and storytelling at powwows. And I've been in Tennessee and Florida and Georgia and all around doing powwows and things. Anyway, this isn't about that, but I'm just, I've been around for a while, and uh, I understood that there was a sanctity of Mother Earth that white people just don't get. I mean, even people who consider themselves shamans and this new age and stuff, when I have conversations with them or I listen to them talk or so forth, and I listen to people, but when they start talking BS to me, I'm sorry, I just have to shut them off, because it's like, nah, you were doing real well there for a while, and then you just went off on this new age uh, tangent. So, but anyway, so for example, I've talked frequently about how people, if you want to, get in touch with your own spirit, it isn't about a religion, because there's so many religions that have got so many rules and so many things, and we've been lied to for so long. Mother Mary tells me, and this is one of my reasons for this, is it's all about our spirituality. It's not about which religion, but it is about our spirituality. And regardless of, well, he said this, they said that, we gotta look at what the main goal, the main common thing, and in my opinion, it's what I understand as the cause. Okay, as Dante talks about. So, but with that said, my understanding of what he means by the cause, I'm associating it with my own life, my own literally visions of Mother Mary, and of trying to understand a different realm of spirituality without a religion. Now, I quote the Bible. I've got two Bibles that sit right over here. I've got the Bhagavad Gita upstairs. I got a whole stack of books over here right now that I go in and reference to all the time. Native American stuff, Zen Buddhism, Confucianism. I mean, there are messages in all areas. I mean, even Isaac Asimov, and the science fiction writer, and Robert Heinlein, one of my favorites growing up, as a science fiction writer, there was many things that they presented way back in the day that I have kind of sort of ascribed to, and it has to do with, regardless of what type of being you are, what you look like. Me and my ugly mug here, I was told that I need to do this without trying to, I joked and I said, if I'd have known Dante was going to upload my video, as an actor, I would have put on makeup or something, because I look horrible in the video. And it was like, and Mother Mary said, nah, you had to do it right then, like I'm doing this video right now. I asked you to do this video. I want people to, this is her. She wants people to see me in my natural element, talking about these things from my heart. You can see my eyes, watch my face, see my expressions, and it's up to you to decide whether or not I make any sense. Now, if you folks are new to my channel, if I look over there in the chat room right now, I'm going to get off topic. But Sonny, I think you are, Old Soul, Sweet Pea, and the Milk Cow. I got a pair of glasses around here somewhere. Blessings to all of you, but I got to stick with the topic, or otherwise I'll go off tangent. I really do care what you have to say, and it's because of some of the wonderful comments that have been made that I'm doing this video right now, because I kind of wanted to like set a tone for where I'm actually coming from, because I'm not someone who understands everything that Dante says. But in my heart, I know what my cause is. I know for a long time I've understood the Christ consciousness. Now people say, well, Jesus, this, that, and the other thing. He didn't really exist. He didn't die on a cross. In my heart, I know whether all of that, all of it is true, not true. Some of it's true. Not the point. The point is in my heart of all my years of searching for spirituality to just be a better person, to just do, quote, the will of the Creator, to be good, to try to pass along good feelings and vibes and things and whatever I can do. And the older I get, it's a little harder to do, but I realize that even in the middle of the night, I do a video and people say, thank you, Hawkeye, because you made me think. That's what I'm here for. But I'm also here for, regardless of our background, regardless of our religion, regardless of what we believe in, as far as a text or Buddhism or this or that, and who's right, who's wrong, who's telling the truth, we have to stick together with the basic premise. What is my cause? My cause is that I wish to bring people together. I wish to bring people together spiritually. I wish to find out as much information and help other people that are struggling. There are a lot of us out there in the silent 72 plus, and I realized with the comments and the likes, and I mean, I had 140 something subscribers, and now I think I'm over 200. So just in the last week, 50 plus people have joined my channel. Something that I said made sense to them, and I take that to heart. And Mother Mary's been saying, you got to go out there and talk to these folks. You have to tell them, give them a little bit more of what I mean by when I'm saying, and I know I'm working for the cause. I may not be working in the same way that Dante is, but in my spiritualness, I'm helping people. I'm trying to ward people off from weird, nasty stuff. There are times when I've coached people, they've had negative entities attached to them. We've done the best we can. We've prayed. We've used all kinds of different types of techniques to try to, get whatever type of negative, demonic, jinn type attachment that some of these people that have come across and still come across, and do the best we can. And I'm just very thankful that I had listened to my Creator, to my spirit guide, guardian angel. And when Mother Mary gives me a message, she says, listen, please tell these folks, please explain this. So I'm not trying to convince anybody to join a religion. But if you're in this realm right now that I'm talking about, you are interested in a higher spiritual awareness. You are more involved in, wait a minute, fighting the bad guys. That's my cause. Anytime I can do something to help fight the bad guys, if it's only prayer, then that's what I'm here for. And as a collective group of 72 plus silent folks, and I think of it in terms of, I played football in high school, got my leg broken anyway, but the point of, sometimes I was on the bench, second string. But coach was always going, no, go in there and, and play linebacker. No, go in there and and play cornerback or safety or whatever. No, get in there and do something. I might only be in there for a couple of plays. But at the time, I was important because I was switching out. Tampa Catholic had a small football team. And, as a sophomore, I was playing varsity ball. That's how it was back then. But the thing is though, when I think about this, am I good enough to be on the first string? And I unequivocally, the answer is no. I'm not qualified, and I have to look at myself and go, hey, wait, I'm 66, almost 67. I got ailments. My bones are creaky, but my intent is good. I still have the spirit of the Creator in me. I go outside all the time, and I've been doing this number to the sky long before I found out, what it meant through Dante's channel. And I'm not trying to drop his name like, ooh, I know who he is and all that. I'm not doing that. And I'm only bringing up his name because when he reposted my video, it gave me permission to at least reference him. So, but that's all I'm doing. Trust me, there is no way that would sit here and honestly say that I know what's going on in that realm over there. Not a clue. But I appreciate the fact that he takes the time to try to include us, because those of us who live in America, we don't have a clue what goes on over there. And I mean, in Europe, in Russia, and, over there. And I've always wanted to go over there. I have friends of mine, that I've met online who are from Romania, and there was another person that lives in Italy, and there's another person, I can't, it's Czechoslovakia or something. I'm not quite sure, but anyway, a Facebook friend, and we've been in touch back and forth for years. So, and I here at one of the local colleges, there were some Russian exchange students that I befriended for a year while they were here, and learned a lot about Russia and things and stuff. And like, wow, I didn't know that. So expand your knowledge, expand your awareness of what's going on. Now, for those of us in America, white people don't get it, but the red man does. The red man has thousands of years of being in North America. But the white man, when they came over, okay, Christopher Columbus, yada, yada, yada. There's evidence that the Egyptians were here long before Christopher Columbus, by the way, or Amerigo Vespucci, or even, they talk about the Vikings. The Vikings were here a long time ago. There's evidence in Ohio, Michigan, upstate up there, and in Minnesota. There's Vikings. Okay. So the idea that we really know what the truth is about certain things and about our history, but the people in America's history only goes back 200 years. And the buildings, if we're lucky, I mean, I live down here in the South. There's some old antebellum homes and things around here that are pushing 200 years old now, but, built back in the 1860s, 70s, so they're over 100 years at least. And and I've had the opportunity to work on some of these houses down here in Thomasville and Moultrie and down here in the South. And some of these houses are just phenomenal. I just want to say. But anyway, but there's history here, but nobody wrote about the slaves. And I have talked to people working on one of the plantations that I used to work on. I knew these people were in their 80s back 20 years ago when I knew them, and their mothers were slaves. They remember how it was in the old times. They remember, what the white guys did to the, the stories. But anyway, to stay on track though with the Mother Mary message, it doesn't matter. There's all kinds of history. It's been hidden. It's been forgotten. There are things down here in South Georgia I talk about. 25, 30 years ago, that all of South Georgia, it was tobacco. There was tobacco buildings everywhere. Now you can't find a strand of tobacco. There are old tobacco barns hanging around. There's some old tobacco warehouses around. But back in it kind of left in the 80s somewhere. But, I worked in the tobacco fields. I cropped tobacco. I put it in the barns. We dried it. We loaded it on the trailers and took it into town. And there's all of that's gone. All that history's gone. And I've lived through it, seen it go by. And, they've changed crops and things. I've talked about that, but that's not, my point is I've seen a lot of changes in my 66 years. And I look at all of these things, and I keep telling people, you got to step back from what's going on. And if you get too involved in just one part of this, you can't see the forest for the trees. You can't see the rest of the picture. You got to move yourself out of the chaos and back out so you can see the whole picture. When you're sitting on the bench, for example, on the football team, all the activity's really close. But when you're sitting up in the press stand, which I used to videotape a lot of the local football games here for a local cable access channel. But when you're sitting up there in the press box, the highest point in the stadium, you can see the whole field. But when you're down in the first row, all you can see is this little bit. So your vision is obscured. What you see, you can't see the play that happened on the far side of the field. You can kind of assume. But when you're up in when you're up in the press box, you can see the whole field, and you can see this guy's doing an end around. You can watch the defense, cutting across and so. But until you step back from what's going on, so in my Mother Mary message, it's that we need to all get together. We need to stick together. Now, in some of my previous videos, I talk about the League of Like-Minded Beings, because I don't want to start any kind of following or a religion or anything like that. No, but I do want to promote spirituality. Find your own spirituality. Go out and talk to a tree. Go out into nature and allow the Creator, allow the universe to talk to you. But if you're stuck with your cell phone and all these other things, you can't hear nature talk to you. You can't hear God talk to you. You can't hear Mother Mary. You can't hear anything because there's all this confusion. So I keep telling people, please go out into nature, find something, ground yourself. Oh, well, what about this? That sounds all new agey. Okay, fine. But, people who are so, I got friends of mine, they're popping Valium. And I'm like, why? Well, I get so nervous because of all what's going on. And I'm like, listen, 2 years ago, I stopped taking I take some over-the-counter drugs. I take aspirin and I take some ibuprofen and for my sinuses, I take Benadryl. That's it, And I was on like handfuls of gobs of medicine from the pharmacy every month. Doctor visit cost me $200 a month with my Medicare, I might add, plus what I pay into Medicare anyway. But I realized that all these drugs were killing me. So it's almost 2 years. It's like 10 months since I've been to a year and 10 months since I've been to the doctor or had any of these other drugs. And I'm actually getting better the older I'm getting. That's like confusing. But one of the things that I had to learn about myself and spirituality is that I was holding my own self back. Because, well, I don't know if the angels could heal me, because I was like, well, I think so. And I was talking a really good line of bullshit, like I really believe it. But when I look back 5 years ago, back when I first started when I made my first contact, I had watched Dante, but I sent him an email. So, but anyway, just to kind of, but 5 years ago, I found that email and I read it and I was like, oh my God, that was just so crazy. In the last 5 years in my own life, my spirituality level and my understanding of things, because one of my issues was, and Dante helped me with this, was I didn't believe 100.1%. I believed 95%. I believed 98%. I didn't, I wasn't really sure. But when and I had a Mother Mary message, and she did, well, actually, she appeared in my living room and said, Hawkeye, you got to stop this. Either you believe me or you don't. And when she appeared in the room again, and I was like, okay, 100.1%, like I needed a reminder. Now, I bring this up because I want you all to know where I'm coming from. I've got a lot of information that has helped folks in the past. And I talk about shamanism as a method of discussing spirituality, okay? It's not about paganism. It's not about, I grew up in the Catholic Church. You talk about rituals, banging a drum or playing a flute ain't anywhere near what the Catholic Church does as far as, secret words they say in Latin to, mumble, to having bones of saints underneath in in the altar when they do mass. I mean, come on. I don't, I might go out and light a fire and go out and take my drum and do a little outdoor ceremony, but I'm not using bones from a saint, and I'm not trying to, turn the body and blood of Jesus and wine. And I mean, I'm not trying, I'm not anywhere going near that stuff, but I am trying to connect with my natural spirits. And I know the natural spirits exist. I did a video the other night where I was down on the river and I was asking for guidance. Got in my kayak, got on the lake in the middle of the night, and this humongous, now I don't think it was an alligator gar, but it was a gar. But this thing was as long as my leg, and I got to checking pictures. It was a really big one. It was a really big one. Excuse me. Choked me up there. When I looked at people taking pictures of the of the gar that they've caught, I was like, shit, mine was that big. I'm like, wow, that was really a big one. Anyway, but with that though, it showed me so many different things. I mean, at 66, pushing 67, I've been in the swamp all my life. I mean, as soon as I could paddle a canoe and a boat and Cub Scouts and all that, I've been on the Hillsborough River, Mayaca River State Park down in there, down in the swamps in Florida where I grew up around Tampa. And then I moved up here in the Ocklawaha swamps and the rivers around here. So, I'm just further north, but still a similar kind of water and swampy stuff. Anyway, to the point, though, I've never had a fish jump out of the water and hit me in the chest and land in my boat. So, as a fisherman, as an outdoorsman, after all these years, and I mean, I've been in some pretty hairy situations. I drowned it almost twice, and gotten out of some nasty situations that should have been dead, and I'm not making light of it. I mean, I seriously should have been dead. But the unexpected that this fish come flying out of the darkness at me, and some of they're saying that the gar, I was explaining it to a friend of mine, and I said it looked like a dinosaur coming out of the darkness. And in so many in the Texas, I don't know what it was about fishing, they talk about that gars look like dinosaurs to many people, and I was like, that's what I saw flying at me. But anyway, the idea though that regardless of who we are or what we are, we should always be ready for the unexpected. If we are aware of things, if we are aware that there are entities, for example, that travel between dimensions. I've seen some in my channel. I've taken pictures of orbs. They're on my channel. I've taken pictures of orbs and things in Ohio at the petroglyphs. And I've seen things as well that there's just no other way. I wasn't high. I wasn't tripping. Something happened. I've seen beings transform in and out of they just disappeared. It's like they just walked into something and disappeared. I've seen one spaceship blow up another one overhead several years ago. I've seen a couple of several months ago. There was one I noticed. I got tapped on the shoulder by my spirit guide, said, go outside. And then this great big giant meteor, don't think it was a meteor, wrong color, but exploded in the sky and lit up South Georgia, North Florida. Everybody reported about it. I did a live stream like 5 or 10 minutes after it happened. And I even identified, said it probably landed in Taylor County around Perry, Florida. Guess what? That's where they say it landed. But anyway, my point of that is that if you're aware of things, if you look, if you watch, if you just pay attention to the world around you, you're going to see some amazing things. And the idea with what I feel about the cause, what do I feel about the Christus? Anybody that claims that they're working on the side of Christ consciousness, cheers, I'm on their side. Because regardless of what it boils down to, regardless of what the true truth is, it's okay. I don't care. I mean, I do having more information, learning about this and that. Don't get me wrong. But I realized 5 years ago, I was too worried about what was the history. And I realized that I wasn't paying enough attention to what I already knew in my heart. And in my heart, I realized I'm a prayer warrior. I am for the Christ consciousness, Buddha consciousness, higher thinking, however you want to put it. And then when I found Dante, I said, I'm working for these guys. They just don't know it. And it's okay. And then he kind of solicited folks, send me an email. And then I realized what a dutz I was and I couldn't explain myself. But at the same point, I also realized, regardless of whether or not I qualify for an original 72, I was on the second string or the third string or the fourth string. I was still a prayer warrior, regardless of my standing with Dante or the 72 or anything like that, because I know in my heart what I have seen and felt with Mother Mary. And to me, Mother Mary is the mother of all of us. Now, Dante has said goddess, Isis. I don't use those terms. I use the mother of us all, because we do need mothering. And in my opinion, that's what Mother Mary represents. You can call it goddess, and I'm just going to stick with the Mother Mary thing, okay? Because all these different words and phrases and stuff, I'm just going to keep it plain. What is her message? Love, compassion, kindness. What? What's wrong with that? I don't, whether her name could be Billy Bob if she was from South Georgia, but my point to that is that the name, it means something to me, but in the long in the greater scheme of things, what's really necessarily in the name? Now, the Christus and the Christ consciousness, there's things in the name, but I mean, there are people arguing about, well, that name is supposed to be over here and this is going to be and that, and what about the Anunnaki and what about the this and the that? Aren't you kind of sort of missing the bigger picture here? We've got some evil, wicked, mean, and nasty bad entities. I've seen the spaceships. I've seen one blow another one up. So I mean, it's like I've seen these things, plus what Dante shows, other sites, other things, they're out there. And one's trying to hurt the other one. Now, do I need to know all the ins and outs about it? No. Do I know there are bad beings out there? Oh, hell yeah. I get attacked all the time by stuff and have had over the years. And the more you become more sure of yourself and your own spirituality, the more you're able to fend off or notice, however you want to realize it. And about the Christus, I believe that there are angels, and period. So, well, if their name's, part of the okie dokie, that's good for me. That's all I really need to know. The rest of it is good, just good stuff. So I would ask you, regardless of what is said or how or the words or this, and there were some people like, well, Dante says this three thing, and I'm like, I'm not going to discuss it other than in a general term. Because his knowledge is what he knows. I talk about what I know, what I've seen, what I have been taught by other medicine men, real medicine men. I mean, I knew a medicine man who was Lakota and a descendant of Crazy Horse. And he was from the Pine Ridge Reservation out in South Dakota. Wait, yeah, South Dakota, right. Yeah, there's one in Montana too, but the Pine Ridge is a big one in South Dakota, south of the Badlands out there. And I've had a wonderful opportunity to have spoken and lived with and, partaken with ceremonies and conversation and teachings and learnings from some very, very wise old Native American folk. I spoke about Kashka, who was, if he's still alive, that means he is a true legend keeper from the Tlingit tribe. So I've had a wonderful amount of people who have guided me, taught me, helped me out over the many years to help get me where I'm at now. And one of the responsibilities as a medicine man and as a shaman is to pass the knowledge along to anyone who seeks it. So as I say, I was officially named with a sweat lodge, with ceremonies for 2 days, and my Indian name is Hawkeye Two Feathers. Christian name, if you will, David Null. I don't hide behind anything. I don't try to bring up any other kind of stuff. I am who I am. I'm a hermit that lives down here in the woods. I'm always seeking guidance. I'm always asking for prayers. And the Mother Mary message with all of this last 40 minutes that I've been talking about is keep peace in your heart. Regardless of what somebody's going to say about this or that, or want to go into another tirade, or, you know, they're going to try to pull you out of what's important. What's important is to keep your own sanity. What's important is to keep your own spirituality. What's important is that you keep you together. In my previous videos, I talk about the core value, our core value. My core value has always been for the cause. I just didn't know it. But I'm always trying to help people. I've literally, we saved a gentleman's life about 10 years ago, was in a horrible car accident, cut his leg off below the knee. And I had to help hold his leg together, you know, and we kept him, literally, he was going to blow up in the truck. We pulled him out of the truck, treated him for shock on the side of the road and it was like 30 minutes before the EMTs got there. Had we not showed up when we did, and there's a long story to that, but this man would have died. He would have literally, his truck would have blew up and he'd have been burned alive. And, but you know, in the long run of it, we stopped and saved this man's life. Out of nowhere, coming back from Walmart, went to town on a whim and ended up coming on the way home, saving this man's life. And me holding a bloody stump. And I'm going, that this wasn't on my agenda. But when the Creator asked me to do something and I followed through on it, we saved that man's life that night. And it was because I got a Mother Mary message. You need to go to town. I looked at my friend and said, I don't know why I'm supposed to go to town, but Creator wants me to go to town. And on the way back, that's when we saved that man's life. Too many things, too many stories in my life that happen like this. Go up to somebody and Creator tap me on the shoulder and go, that person over there needs help. Yeah, but what do you want me to do? I don't know. Go over there. Okay, dokie. And sometimes I've stuck my nose into things that I really didn't need to. But for a short period, I was able to help the person out. It was a little bit of a hump. It was their fault that they fell back into a slump or whatever. But I've had more people live here in my house that over the years, I've got stuff that people left. I find stuff I'm like, this ain't mine. But I've had, you know, homeless people stay here because I just can't stand it. If somebody's living in a cardboard box under a bridge, you know, I've got 18 acres down here in the country. The least I can do is say, you know, okay, if you don't want to stay in the house, and I've kind of like avoided that anymore. But, you know, here recently, about 6 weeks ago, there was someone who seriously needed help. And I put up my brand new tent for him and helped him out for well over 2 weeks, actually. And because I was asked by my spirit guide, I was asked by Mother Mary to help this person out. And how can I say no? So am I working for the cause? Well, I might not be doing any kind of behind the scenes thing, but I'm working for the cause because there are people out there who need help, because we need to help each other, because the more we get together and are aware of what's going on around us, the more we can affect a better change. So I continue to be a prayer warrior. I've got friends of mine who called me yesterday, and actually they're going to come by and see me tomorrow night. Haven't seen this person in 10 years. And I found out she lost a daughter and she's had major heart surgery, and she's like 10 years younger than me. So it's like, what? Here are all these younger people, and they had to use the paddles to bring her back to life twice. And it's like, and plus life, you know, helicopter, you know, to Savannah to save her life. I mean, what? And she's going to stop by and we're going to chat tomorrow evening. And she goes, you know, Dave, you've always, you know, we don't talk as much as we used to, but she told me the night on the phone and she said, listen, I know you've always been a spiritual being. I've known you for all these years, the last 25, 30 years. She goes, always known you to be a spiritual being. And when you say when I say, listen, I understand how you feel, I got your back. I'll throw some prayers out there. She goes, I know you will. And I know for whatever good it is, it's going to help me. And I'm like, what? She goes, yeah, I watch you on Facebook. And she goes, and I just, I'm just too chicken shit to call you on the phone and talk to you. But she goes, you continue to help me after all these years simply by doing the live stream videos that I do on my Facebook channel, talking about things like this. So it's like, so when I think to myself, well, I can't do puppet shows like I used to. I can't go around and spread the word like I used to, but I can get on here and have a conversation and say, listen, there are things that we can do. We need to stay together. The Mother Mary message is simple. We need to stay together. And I find it silly in a way because it was like the League of Gentlemen was on British television years ago. Really outrageous out there. So, and I had been watching an old episode of it, and I thought to myself, all of us people out here on the internet who have, who have these similar feelings. We are spiritual, but for whatever reason, religion had just turned us off. Me, Catholic religion. I tried some others. No Baptist, sorry, none of those inside a box church worked for me. So the more I followed this reincarnation's journey of understanding the red man, of understanding what the red road is, that I realized, my God, church is all around me. I don't have to go into a building. If anything, a building is holding my prayers in. I'm going to go build a fire. And when I say my prayers, I'm going to offer them up with the smoke. Wait a minute. Is that such a paganistic idea? Is that such a like, oh my God, go away, you're evil. What? I just, so many Christians think that Native Americans are pagans and worship the devil, when Native Americans always say a Christian prayer at their powwows. Well, how can they, they're doing a powwow, but they said a Christian prayer, that they're pagans, they're heretics. No, they're not. God is a Christian construct, but the Creator is a universal construct. So they understand both. They say a prayer to God, the Christian God, and they say a prayer to the Creator. Both of them. They include, in case one, they include them both. They recognize that both can exist. But in the Christian world, oh my God, those Native Americans over there, they're doing that powwow stuff. They're worshiping the sun. No, I'm going to have another video about this, about honor. They honor Mother Earth. They honor the planets. They honor the spirit world. They honor Mother Nature. They don't worship it. They don't. Christians are the only people who worship anything. And in the Catholic Bible, King James changed it. In the old versions, there's a lot of things in there that says adore. They changed the word from adore to worship. Now, I've said this before. I adore my grandmother. Now she's passed away. I still adore her, but I never worshiped my grandmother. And if you understood who Jesus was, if you just give him a little bit of credit at all, same thing with Buddha. Even St. Francis, they started an order after him. And he said, no, don't do this. I don't want an order named after me. No, leave it alone. I am who I am. I do what I do. No. So it's the people who created the religion, not those who were the religion that they created it from. Never did he say worship me. He said adore the Father. Have honor your father and your mother. Honor. How many people honor anything anymore? It's like I've made a promise that I'm going to be a prayer warrior, and I'll be damned. I'm going to die being a prayer warrior. And whether I'm working for the cause over here or over there or whatever, I'm already in the cause. I have been working for the cause for years. And in my own way, I'm not going to quit. I am going to die working for the cause. How I die and what goes on or what transpires in between, have not a clue. But I know in my heart what I know, and that is I'm working for the cause. I am working for the good of folk, any kind of folk. If you're at least a little bit respectful, okay, we can talk. But I'm all about listen. People want to fight too quick. Um, can we talk here? Well, but one of the things is that people are so damn narcissistic. Well, it's my way or the highway. Now I'm sitting here trying to tell you, or explain to you, not tell you. I got to pull that sentence back. Explain to you. I'm not trying to convince you about anything, but I am trying to convince your own mind. Do you know what you're talking about? Do you know what you're thinking? Do you feel that inside core value, whether it's Christian or not? Do you feel it in your heart that there's a connection to the universe that other people just don't seem to get? That's how I feel. And not that they can't. And I'm always, come, let's sit down and talk. Come, let's, go out and sit in nature. Come, let's go sit by the river and let's talk about this. Let's discuss spiritualism. Let's discuss the universe. Let's discuss the different dimensions and the dimensionalities of things. And I use the term shamanism because it just of all the other words and things and that other people are using, I'm not a priest. Tried to be. I'm in a lot of ways I am a monk because um, I'm a hermit and live down here in the woods. In that respect, I'm not a recluse on purpose. It's physical things that happen to me, and anyway, but not for this discussion. But I understand that I think like a monk, okay? That's in a monastery somewhere, when I'm out in the garden and I'm digging and pulling weeds, I'm praying, I'm processing, so like a monk would. And I've been to some monasteries and I've known people in my lifetime. So with that said, yes, I am in that way, but I consider it, I'm a prayer warrior, and I'm a prayer warrior for Christ, for the Christus. I'm a prayer warrior for anybody who's trying to get rid of the bad guys, period. You know, if this name, this religion, that color, this Chinese, Japanese, I don't care. If you're against the bad guys, you're on my side. That's how I look at it. And am I working for the cause? In my understanding, in my own way, I have been working for the cause for a long time. I can't say it any more simpler than that. And after almost a dead-gum hour, I thought this was going to be like 30 minutes, but I wanted to make sure that all y'all out there, and I'm going to put my glasses on and read some of your comments because they really do matter to me, is that we got to stick together with this stuff. We're mamby-pamby and arguing over tiny little minute things when we're not paying a bit of attention to the big picture. And my spirit guides are telling me, and Dante's been warning us that these next few years are going to be kind of hairy. And why shouldn't we get together spiritually? And I jokingly refer to it, but we are part of the league of like-minded beings because we think like-mindedly, at least in the fact that we want peace. That right there, love our neighbors. We want peace. We want to stop fighting and hunger. We're already part of a group, and we're just the group of like-minded beings. And so I jokingly refer to it as we are all part of the league of like-minded beings. Just because you think a little bit like us, you're already a member. You don't have to sign a contract. You don't have to go to any church or join anything. You're already a member. And to me, it's like, da-dum. So let's embrace it. Let's continue to help each other out. And I got a lot of other stuff that these folks want me to talk about. And I want to thank you, all the new subscribers, old subscribers, and understand that I got for what it's worth. And when I say I love you all, I do. For what it's worth, I got your back. If you say send a prayer my way, I'll check your name out and I'll send a message and say, this person needs a prayer. This person needs guidance. Contact my guardian angel, phone call over to theirs. Can you help this person out? You know, now that's all in the quantum. I'm going to talk about different things about that later on in some more videos that I'm going to do. But I just want you all to know, I really do love you. I do. And some people say, oh, that's just sappy bullshit. It's no. Because anybody who cares enough, like you all hanging out now, and to even just hit subscribe or, to this channel because of the previous video I did, y'all are special people. And you are good in my opinion. And I feel very comfortable being second, third, fourth string on the 72s. But I'm there. And I believe because of the response I got about the video, there are a lot of silent 72ers out there. And I was thinking about it earlier. There was a movie years ago, where all the old guys get together and one used to blow up, safes, and the other guy, he was of this and had the, anyway, they get together one last time. And someone had made a comment on one of the videos that I did. And they said, I may be old, but maybe, between the two of us, or maybe there are two or three of us get together, we can make one person. And I thought about that and I chuckled and I laughed out loud really hard. And I thought, that's it, basically. It might take five of us to make one, but if there are five of us who are willing to get together to do one thought or do one thing, that's got to count for something, And so I was like, so in my tiny little brain running around here, I'm thinking, I don't need to be a 72. I already am. Do I need to be, really involved? I already am. They're already showing me rockets being blown up overhead. I mean, I literally watched one appear, shoot a laser beam and blow this thing up, and they both disappeared. It was creepy. Wish I could have took a picture of it. But, so my spirit guides have showed me stuff. Go outside and look, and bam, there's meteor. They ain't meteors because they're the wrong color. And the size that they are, like that one that blew up about 6 weeks ago, that thing was enormous and bright. But so are there other things happening? Are there other realms, other dimensions? Oh, you betcha. So what we need to do, though, is stick together, like-minded beings, whether you believe in the Mother Mary or the goddess, or it doesn't matter. It matters to me and other folks too, but I mean, let's not mamby-pamby about it, but let's stick together in our hearts. That we can do. Well, I'm not sure if I believe in Mother. Okay, fine. But do you believe in the heart that being compassionate and kind and giving to another person? Do you feel that that's important? Well, yes, I do. Well, then you have a mothering type of instinct, or fatherly, depending on the sex or whatever. But to the point, though, I feel motherly, even though I'm a guy, and I'm not trying to be, weird about it. I'm just saying there is that instinct where you just want to hug them, Now, guys don't usually hug. That's why I say motherly. But, no, come here, give me a hug. Let me give you a hug. Let me exchange energy with you and try to give you some of my good energy. And for years, people go, Hawkeye, man, you get the best damn hugs, because I'm trying to give them good, solid, boom, here you go. This is me, and I want to share it with you, and I want to share good vibes and thoughts and frequency and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so I've chatted enough about that kind of stuff, but I hope you understand where I am honestly coming from, without trying to say, well, I know everything about Dante. Nope, it ain't about that. Well, I know all about the space stuff. Don't know about that. I do know space stuff. I do know things, but it's from an American point of view over here. All the things that happen over there in Europe, that they're thousands of years old. What do we have in America? The Smoky Mountains. I mean, what's that old? Nothing. There's nothing here because Native Americans made sure, because of how they feel, they leave nothing behind. Why do they live in teepees? It's because their respect for Mother Earth. They don't want to dig Mother Earth up. They don't want to. No. They want to live simply with the earth and and on the earth, in the earth, depending. But they've been around for a long time. They didn't build skyscrapers. Why? Because they didn't see the need. The white men came along and, well, you guys, now everybody wants to have a teepee. There's this lady on YouTube, and she's very famous for what she does and outdoors and wilderness and stuff. And she's like, oh, let me show you how to build a teepee. And I started watching it and I was like, and she's got like thousands of visitors, and I want to go, oh honey, that you just piled up a bunch of sticks to look like a teepee. That ain't no teepee. I mean, I'm sorry. I've put up lodges myself, 2 or 3 different styles of lodges, not just a teepee. Oh no, but but how she had the logs and everything, and they weren't tied off, and I was like, she's going to get hurt. But anyway, there are so many people who, because they see something and think that it's cool, they automatically know what it is. I got some years of experience in some of this stuff, and that's the reason why I'm trying to explain. Am I a know-it-all? No, but what I know, I know, I know. I You can slap me around. Now I might talk about something and say, well, let me pose this to you. What if? What if about dimensions, or what if about that? Am I positive about it? No. But in the long term, the ancients and the shamans talked about, for example, it was really interesting that I've been talking about the Spider Woman, the web of the universe, the Spider Woman stories and things, and how the Spider Woman kept everything together. And anyway, in the universe, now they've got x-rays of what the universe looks like, and it looks like a spider web. Oh my god. So it was like, wait a minute, is there actually a spider being? Not sure. That's not the point. The idea is that the whole universe is connected as a web of things. And then I love to watch animation, and the new Danger Mouse was out, and guess what, there was a spider that was the web that had taken over the web, the internet web, and it was the giant spider. And I was like, wait a minute. So even the newer versions of Danger Mouse, they're using the giant spider and the web as the internet. Well, in shaman terms, the ancient Spider Woman stories are ancient. They're thousands of years old. So it's even showing up in cartoons and things, as they say, they give us the truth right in front of us, but do we pay attention to what they're talking about? Anyway, let me read some of your comments. And Enigma 7, yeah, he talks about OBEs, dimensions, and effective ways to deal with archons. Yep. But we're still having an interesting discussion. At least that's what I feel. Hawkeye, you should see another guy's channel, Rich2150X. Milkow, no one is changing anyone's mind. Let's see. Yeah, listen, from a shaman's point of view about hostile entities, whether or not they're alien beings, or the things that I have seen as a shaman and in spiritual warfare and so forth, there are absolutely some nasty interdimensional beings. Now, are they from another planet? They from another galaxy? Did they come in on a wormhole? I don't know about that, but I have seen some crap that will scare the shit out of you. And nobody want you say, well, I want to see that. I said that too until I saw it, and I was like, now I can't get that picture out of my mind of the beings that I saw who were devouring and eating. And let's not go there, please. So, that's my point about this. There are all kinds of stuff. And one of the things we shouldn't get wrapped up about is, well, somebody calls it OBEs and somebody calls it ETs. And so that's the point of this message. We need to stop worrying about who used what words. Do we think can we all agree, regardless of where they come from, that they are interdimensional type of weird shit going on? Oh, yeah, a bunch of us know that. So how it got here, was it the devil? Was it Lucifer? Was it this guy? Does it really matter? And my point is, when we become aware that there are these other entities, that's what's most important, is that there are these other creepy entities and that we should be aware of them, keep our spirit, keep our core value, stay in tune with the higher self. That's what's important. So what we call them really doesn't matter in the long run. But are we protected? That's the point. Are we all in agreement there's some nasty? Yep. A lot of us, have seen our own versions of UFOs and things. So my point to that is, let's not and I mean this without being disrespectful to anyone. Let's not panby around with terminology. Let's just go with the basic facts. Nasty shit out there trying to hurt us all, and it's against humanity. We got that one. So I got lots of hostile Enigma 7 says, I got one certain and I got lots of hostile reaction about it. If I didn't know any better, I'd say it's cognitive dissonance. I'll get it out. Give a cold, hard fact, watch the magic happen. And that's agreeable, Milk Cow. I'll just stick to the current discussion. Milk Cow says, Millie Cow? That's what I'm saying. We all believe different things, so who cares what anyone thinks, or if they don't agree, we can talk about what we know, believe, without arguing or calling names. Absolutely. Millie Cow, there's too many little lines in there. I didn't see that extra I. And that is exactly my point. People want to argue, and I visit lots of different channels for all kinds of different things, and folks are arguing about the damnedest things. It's like, stop it. Well, it was tan. No, it was brown. No, it was tan. No, it was a desert sand. Oh, shut up. It was sort of brownish. Let's. Oh no, but fist fights start, and I think to myself, you don't even know what kind of car it is, but you're going to bitch about the color. What? That's what's wrong with this planet. So many people are so arguing on all these levels that really make no. Who cares? Someone sent me a message, and I was like asking about, what Dante meant, and like I've stated before, and I will continue to state, I'm not going to discuss what Dante meant. That's his thing. The fact that I believe in the cause and that I believe in the Christus and angels and Mother Mary, these are the facts that I do know and understand and believe wholeheartedly in my heart, and that I will die for. But can I prove or he's right or wrong or this or that or Archon's this? I try to stay away from those kind of words. That's just it. If I talk about creator, everybody's, well, ain't that God? Well, creator, God, But, well, is it a God with a big G or a little g? Is it a Christian God or is it a Muslim God? See, no, creator of all things. Let's just leave it at that. And you can make up any name you want to in between. But when I'm discussing it, I'm going to use certain just plain Jane names so there isn't an argument. Well, Archon's this and this and that. You're not going to hear me talking about that much because that's when people start arguing. I want to talk about the bigger thing. What would, regardless of what they're called, what does a negative being do to you? What does it do to your friend? Did it attach to them? Did it start making them do nasty things? I mean, so let's talk about the nasty things are there, attach themselves to people, and or people allow them to come in, or however you want to look at it, or they just come busting in and take over too. That happens. But the idea that I would sit here and like try to tear apart all these little things, that's the whole point of this video. That's the point of the Mother Mary message. We got to stop this. Let's just be like-minded beings. We can all agree on these certain things. I'm with you there, Millie Cow, 100%. And I'm not trying to disagree with you, Enigma 7. Is that but there's too many variables that we're really not sure about. So why argue about it? So, and I that Rich 2150, it looks familiar. I got like 200 channels I peruse all the time. Boo, Enigma, I think you are down and don't respect jack crap about what? Okay, I must have missed something. But it's one thing to get upset about a person such as me who's got different thoughts about Dante. I'm not trying to defend Dante. That's it. Bottom line, I'm not trying to defend him. I'm just saying there are things that he says that resonate with me. That's it. And I do feel like I'm part of the cause. I do feel like I'm working for the Charistus. I do believe in angels. I do believe in Mother Mary. She's appeared to me. Do you believe me? You want to refute me? You want to I'm not here to defend Dante. I'm just saying there are things that he says that resonate with me. The rest of it, that's my point. Not here to have a conversation. You can disagree with me. There are things that I've looked at and I go, I don't know about that. But that's the point. He allows me to think for myself. And what does he always say in many of his videos? Do you see what I see? Are you thinking for yourself, or are you letting somebody else do the thinking? So with that, I must have missed something way back up there. Choose not to believe Dante. That's totally fine. I'm not here to argue either. I choose to believe and trust. That's my own choice. There's no point trying to change anyone's mind. Exactly. Respecting other people's choices is better. Billy Cow, if I could, I'd buy you a coffee. Sweet Pea, I would venture to guess they are dying for people to be smart enough. That's true. Or aware enough. And that's one of the things in this whole cosmic realm of stuff that I discuss in the shaman tradition is that regardless of who, what, or where, do you have thoughts of wanting to beat somebody up? Do you spend your day cussing and screaming and shooting a bird at somebody because you had somebody cut you off in traffic? I mean, I look at stuff now and I go, that would have pissed me off 10 years ago, and I'd have been mad for a week, and that'd have been honest. But now I look at things and it's like, and I keep telling people, you got to step back from the chaos. Even with Dante, in my opinion, when I take a step back at the broader picture of what he's trying to explain, in my opinion, it's that there's a lot of shit we don't know. That's the bottom line to me. Holy crap. Do I believe everything? I don't know. I'm not there. I didn't grow up there. I grew up in America. We've only got 250 years of history. That's my point. If I lived over there and I could walk around and see and touch and see some of these things that he has shown in his videos, I might have a totally different opinion. But I live in America, can't get over there, so I have to live vicariously. But in my opinion, I know these things from where I live here. But I'm not going to argue, and I'm not going to curse him out and say, well, he's right or wrong. Who am I to, I'm just another human being. Let's all get along, you know? Uh, accuse me of being someone else I'm not, very intelligent. Now, you know, one could read that sentence, Enigma 7, that accuse me of being someone else I'm not, very intelligent. So I know you put a comma in there, but for people who would read that, yeah, I almost look like so enigmas, and I'm not trying. It seems like you're trying to say that you're not very intelligent, and I know that's not what you meant. Um, Dante Scandal, someone I met had a post showing him arguing with himself on email, like I mentioned. Okay, see, um, I'm not. Yeah, um, I've already given you too much credit for that because you know, what you all chat about there in the chat room is okay, but you know, I'm not here to defend or recuse Dante. Not exactly. There is a much bigger picture. One guy called Unplug the Matrix has many OBEs and shares experience. Listen, I am in contact with many people, and I haven't even talked about my NDEs to you folks because you're new to my channel, but I've had several near death experiences. I have walked with the spirits, you know, for 3 days when I was stuck in the swamp several years ago, and you know, you talk about going on a walkabout out in the desert or something. So having walked with spirits and you know I can't prove it to you now. I've got pictures of orbs and things, and as many things as I can take a picture of and prove to you, I try. The best is, listen, I'm just here telling my story, and there are a lot of other people who are having out of body experiences, if that's what you mean by OBE. I've been teaching people how to do astral projection. I even did a video on it, I don't know, a year or so ago on the simple techniques because there are people who are trying to go out there and explore the astral realm and they don't have a clue what to do, what to look for, what they might be getting into. And so I have given instructions. I have given a lot of caution. Listen, you know, don't be channeling individuals. There are people out there who, oh, there's this one guy who says, I channeled Adolf Hitler. Why? I'm sorry. I wouldn't even ask another entity like that to channel. What? And, you know, oh, I channeled Jeffrey Dahmer. Why? To find out what his mother tasted like? I think about this stuff and I go, now, these people are, in my opinion, are wired sideways because they're like all about talking to these spirits out yonder. And I listened to some of them, and I really try to give them the benefit of the doubt. And the one about Hitler, I was like, oh man, you gotta be kidding me. Number one, who would do that? Who would volunteer to have Hitler come in? And sorry, that's just stupid right there. So am I going to believe this person? Right off the bat, you just knocked me out of your ballpark when you said you were going to channel Hitler. Just saying. So I've been trying to teach people for a long time how you can astral project as safely as possible, how to practice in your own house, in your own room, how to get your feet wet, how to prove if it's daytime, nighttime. How I've talked about it, and I'll probably talk about it again. So these ideas of the out of body experience. I've recently I was in a huge spaceship. They've called me up there. I haven't talked about this before, but I'm going to toss this out to you now because you're here and I got your attention. But I don't talk about this because I can't prove it. But I've been in a large spaceship that makes, and I use the reference in Star Wars, and it was when, you know, it's this great, big, huge kind of circular room, and whoever is out, they're out on this little podium, and the audience is this great, big, giant sphere inside. And Palpatine and, and Senator Amadea or whatever her name is, stands on this thing and talks to all these people. I was in a spaceship and they had asked me. Now, I've been a public speaker for a long time. I've won awards. I have directed. I've been an actor. I've been in over 85 different shows. I'm not lying. I've been in 85 different shows, plus all the years of puppeteering and stuff that I did. My point to that is they pulled me out spiritually and said, they want just a common guy, a puppeteer, a storyteller, but someone who is honest and truthful and will allow people to look at your eye and go, I can tell that you're telling the truth, or at least you feel you're telling the truth. And I went off into this thing, and you talk about big. The one in the Star Wars movie, and don't even compare. And I was standing there, and I had people on either side of me, and they had given me a speech, and I had parts of it wrote down somewhere, and that I woke up in the middle of the night and did some automatic writing. And when I woke up the next day, I realized that was the speech I did, quote, in my dream. And I was like, well, wait a minute. And then 2 days later, I was like, they asked me to go back and do a follow-up. And I'm standing there and is it a dream? It's too real. And I can remember certain things that a dream, it just kind of skates by. But when you have, if OBE is out of body, then this thing and being in these other spaceships and talking, and they want me to be a spokesperson. That's it. That's my job. And I've realized for a long time that, I've started doing YouTube and having conversations with people, but to be able to go out and speak on a galactic level, as to listen, we all need to come together, regardless of what universe you're from, regardless of what planet you're from, regardless of what dimension. Can we just get along, please? Regardless of our differences. I want to go to China and taste real Chinese food, not something that's Americanized. I want to go to Greece and eat a real gyro. Most folks in the America call them gyros. I want to go to Italy and taste real spaghetti. I'm sorry. But I don't want everything to be like, everything to look the same. I want people to be individuals, but we can still agree not to kill each other. You don't like radishes? Fine. I don't like them either. We agree. But you like bell peppers or something? I don't. Okay. But we can still agree that we can make a good spaghetti sauce. I mean, come on. We can still cook, Anyway, and they even made cooking a cussing entertainment competition thing, man. Anyway. Enigma, and things you shared is similar. Another good factor to mention. Milcow, I'm lucky I've never succeeded in astral projection as a younger teenager. I had no idea what I would have been getting into. Now it's even crazier. What's out there in the astral plane right now? There are so many entities in and out of this universe. Back in the late 60s and early 70s, when I first started practicing it, it was there. There's stuff out there now. I don't know. It's like somebody rang a bell and all the nasties came in. Were there weird things out there back then? Oh yeah. I mean, that's one reason why I left the Catholic Church, and consequently, I was trying to understand: does God exist? Okay, simple question: does God exist? So they wouldn't tell me. No religion would explain it to me. And I'm trying to talk God, and the priest is trying to feel my ass. So where was God in that? You know what I mean? So then I was like, well, if there isn't a God, does the devil exist? So at the University of South Florida in Tampa, they got a whole section on demonology. I pulled some ancient books out, started looking through, and started copying down spells. And they wouldn't let me use the photocopier, which I understand. But I had my own little book of spells, how to do it, incantations, the whole 9 yards. And I went down that road. Not because, okay, I'm going to conjure a demon. Well, why? I don't know. Can you do it? Don't do it, because you can, especially if you get the right stuff together. And it was like when I realized, oh, I'd already pulled an entity at least part way into this universe. And to this day, I don't know if if it didn't stay because of my crazy actions as a 22, 3, 4 year old, trying to find out whether or not God existed in reverse. Well, you can't prove to me that God exists. Does the devil? Well, then when I went down that road, I was like, whoa, don't even go there. I saw so much so quick, so fast. My head spun on my head, round and round and round in circles. And I was like, don't go there. I learned a long time ago, do not mess with that shit. Other people, Wiccan stuff and blah, blah, blah. Nah, mm-mm. Oh, we're going to conjure with it. Don't you dare. You conjure anything. You even use the word conjure. There are spirits hanging around going, me, I'm available. So, but, oh man, so, they said dreams are OBEs. Let me go back up. Nobody knows what happened the first time. It's no surprise, even, and I only mentioned Rich because you reminded me of him big time. You don't recommend him. This isn't a lunch special. And the things you shared is similar. I'm lucky I never succeeded. Okay, my point is I don't consider looking to him for answers to the truth. That's all I meant. Um, just saying, Enigma, my point, and I'm reading this, you wrote it. My point is I don't consider looking to him for answers or the truth. That's all I meant, P. You should have ended the sentence there. Then you say, get a grip. Now that's where people say you're a troll. That's when we add little tidbits onto that, get a grip. That tells somebody you're trying to be a butthole. I'm not saying you are, but when I read stuff like that, I go, well, get a grip. You're trying to be better than the rest of us or something. I don't know. So I should tell you, well, Enigma 7, get a grip. You shouldn't use those kind of terms because you set people off. That's a trigger word. Are you doing that on purpose? I'm not trying to get against you. I'm bringing something up. You want to bring people together? Stop that kind of stuff. You already made your point. That's all I meant, P. Period. The get a grip, that was nasty, unnecessary. And people are doing it all the time. Now, you have the right to say what you want to, but you want to wonder why people think you're a troll? There's the reason. And I talk about positive speech all the time. And that right there is a negative. You made your statement and then get a grip. Like, that's the kind of nonsense that has to stop. Not trying to be ugly or mean, but listen, that's why people get all upset. That's why people are at each other's throats. Get a grip, Enigma. See what I'm saying? And I didn't mean it that way, but to my point, because I spoke in it. But you make me laugh, so please continue. I don't know who you're talking about, Sweet Pea, but I'll keep going. Sunny, is dreaming the same as astral projecting? Sometimes. And one of the simplest things to do, it's like, are you astral projecting or is it a dream? Okay, here's the basic thing. If you're out walking on the beach, the dream is you're walking on a beach. And, the sun's out and the waves and people are playing with a beach ball and all that. Okay, if it's astral projection, you're asleep and it's 2 a.m. So if you're walking on a beach, where's the beach? Not to say you can't be on a beach, but where's the beach that it's sunshining? And that if you're thinking, well, I was in Panama City Beach and this is and this is what I'm having, and I'm walking down the beach and but it was daylight. Well, then that's not an astral projection. That is more dreamlike. Now, it could be a foretelling of that you may be out on the beach. I've had dreams that weren't out of body experiences. I had one that was so real. I was going down in the swamp, and me and a friend of mine, and the night before I dreamt this water moccasin was going to bite me in the face. So when I got over there, I was nervous, drinking coffee, and we'd go down to the river, get in a canoe, and I'm talking about it. So, man, whatever it is today, man, Spirit's telling me I got to be careful. That same day, about an hour later, the biggest freaking moccasin I have ever seen in my life almost bit me in the face. And I was being careful. And so, was that a dream? Yeah, but did it portend something that happened literally like 6-8 hours later? Yes. But was that astral projection? No. So one of the first things when you're in the dream, for those of us who have been taught this, when you're in the dream, you look around and say, is this real? And I mean, is it daylight? If you're in your house or driving in your car, is it daylight? The difference is if you're dreaming of driving your car to work, then it ain't you. That's a dream, but it could be a oh crap, what do they call it? Foreshadowing. Anyway, I'm just going to leave it at that. But so to the point, so there are ways, and one of the ways to get better at astral projection. Now, let me give you this little tidbit, Sonny, if you're still here. What the easiest way to learn is to go in your house, go in your bedroom, and look at everything in the bedroom. Okay, notice the clock, notice this, notice that, blah blah blah. Notice like 5 or 6 key things, and then close your eyes, and then get up out of bed with your mind and look around the room, and you go, what are you talking about? Trust me. Because when you can get up out of your bed and look at your own room, you're astral projecting. The next thing is like, and I tell people, listen, go pick another room in the house. The bedroom's one. Can you see it without getting up? Can you literally see where the picture is hanging on the wall? Can you see the doorway? Not picture it. Can you see it? And if you can, then you're at least projecting. Are you astral projecting? Well, at least you're projecting your mind, okay? And people say, well, what good is that? Well, because the next step is once you become comfortable with that, then you choose another room. And I always tell people, when you start doing this, don't leave the house. Stay in familiar surroundings before you go wanting to journey around the universe. Stay where you're comfortable until you get practice, and then walk outside, and then walk to the store, and then go to the whatever. But if you're trying to do it on purpose, stay in your room, then go to the living room, for example. So my practice was I would go in the living room and try to notice things like, and then I would go back in, wake up or get up, go into the living room and say, well, there's the clock. That's correct. And that's that over there. That's correct. And wait a minute. I noticed something in my astral walking that I don't normally notice. It's like there's a little crystal thing over there on the wall by the thing. I know it was there, but I don't really notice it. But in my astral walking, it was like, it was one of these things that just popped out at me. So I was like, well, how about that? So the things I thought I would remember are not necessarily the things that I saw when I actually walked in there. My astral eyes picked up other objects. Well, there's the thing, there's the door, there's the bookcase, but then there's some little tiny thing on the bookcase. You're like, I didn't notice that before. And you know it's there, but it just doesn't pop into your brain. Good way to practice. Good way to practice. And anybody worth their a grain of salt will tell you start in your house. Start with things that are comfortable. Then go to the next room and then walk up and down the hall. I mean, do it in the daytime. Like, quote, take a nap. Just go in, lay down, be quiet so you can see it in the daytime. Do the same thing at night with all the lights off and see if you bump into shit. Well, there's a table. I remember one time I was walking in our living room and we had, one of these little stools that you could move around, right? And I was walking across the living room and trying to get the picture thing. I'm like I'm 17 years old, right? So it's like really new and nobody to practice on. And I looked down and I stepped around the stool, just like whoops, went around it like watching Dick Van Dyke when he would always fall over the stool coming in. And so I noticed the thing there and I was like, well, what the hell? How'd that get there? And then I back to my bed. But then later on, I got up and I walked in there physically and I went, oh my God, somebody did leave the stool in the middle of the living room. It was like, because we usually pull it off to the side, over here, it had a spot. Nope, it was in the middle of the living room. And in my astral mind, I stepped around it because I didn't know I could walk through it. So, but in that realm of things, you have to get used to stuff. Stay in your house until you get used to it. And then when you get used to it, there's an almost like an automatic next step when you reach a certain comfort level. Just saying. Don't know if that helps you, but I've those people that I have known who really knew what they were talking about over the years all started out doing the same simple practices I'm telling you right now. So anyway, uh oh, back up here, Milk House, something you were talking about that your heart was racing. That's one of the things that when you start to leave your body, one of the things is the heart thing. Now there are some breathing exercises that since I'm here, I'll shoot them to you as well. If you breathe in like in through your nose, because good air into your nasal, and you breathe the bad out through your mouth. So you breathe in, you breathe into the count of 3 and out to the count of 6. Into the count of 3, out to the count of 6. You do this several times. It's not anything. You're just relaxing yourself. It's a good way to relax, period. But as you're doing the breathing, you have astral projection in mind. I'm going to be calm. And I know that when I project, there is a golden thread, silver thread. Unless your body dies or somebody creams you out there, you're going to come back. The bad news is sometimes you come back into your body so hard it leaves bruises. I've had that happen too many times. But to the point though, so one of the things is if you stay if you know you're going to be in the house, well then that makes your comfort level better. So, but when you breathe in, out to the count of 6, breathe into the count of 3, and then you hold your breath for, it depends, usually the count of 3 or 4, sometimes longer. But so it's that you regulate it. And as you do it, you're thinking, my feet are gone, I can't feel my toes, my legs are going, my hands are going, and the last thing's going to go is my heartbeat, because that's what I feel when I'm out there. So to your point, were you out there? One of the first things that people will say is they can't breathe, or they don't know if their heart's going to keep beating. So were you there? Yeah, that probably in the area, or you thought you were, or something. And the first thing it does is throws you into a panic attack. So, but if you start in your room and comfortable and certain things, then when you do the relaxation thing, and the breathing is in and out, 3, 6, 3, 6, hold your breath in for 3. It's always in through the nose and out through the mouth. It's a Buddha technique. It's a really ancient breathing technique. So, but it really, 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 really works. When you hold your breath, sometimes some of the instructions are like you hold your breath for like the count of 10. I'm like, hang on here. But it also, though, it relaxes you in that if I can hold my in for 3, hold for 10, out for 5 or 6, sometimes it's hard for me to get it out for 6. I'm like, I really want to just let the air out right away. You want to control the airflow out. So, and there is a zen in that, what you're doing. So, but that helps a lot too. So I hope that helps out. Hawkeye, but I've heard you can travel through time in the astral realm. I think so because I saw things back in 2013 that are just happening now. Now, was that a foreshadowing? Was that I wasn't trying to project. They took me there, and showed me stuff. And I've done videos a couple of years ago about it, but to the point though, um, and these things are happening right now. And I've been warning people on my Facebook for years. I mean, I literally, my son won't even talk to him anymore. He's like, why he won't even allow him. I can't even wish him a happy birthday in a week or so. His birthday's June 19th. I can't even get onto his website to wish him a happy birthday. He won't answer my calls. I mean, my own son, because I've gone back crap crazy about this stuff. He don't even want, no, that's not my dad. Sorry, So yeah, it can be a little crazy. Those were facts, not insults. It seems, in spite of my giving my reasons, I stopped following his works and mentioning all the situations done by him and advising someone. I'm the bad guy. Enigma, I'm not trying to say that you're the bad guy. It's that, in my opinion, I can talk about someone without mentioning their name. Well, there's this individual. There was this show the other night that talked about all us baby boomers. I didn't mention anybody's names. I discussed what I thought was wrong with what they discussed. So, in my opinion, it's more not the person as it is the subject matter. Now, I'm not defending Dante. I'm not that. But it's up to you. So, are you the bad guy? If you're using somebody's name over and over again and you're cutting them or telling them or this and that, then maybe you are the bad guy. Do you know exactly what goes on? I can't discuss it because I don't know. I watch it, I learn. Some of the stuff I've already known. So it's like, I know that's true because I've been in the Catholic Church. I've had conversations with priests and nuns. I know that's just true. I've seen that myself. So, okay, but to each his own. So, but when you start picking on a person by name and then you're going to be the bad guy. It just comes with the territory. Yeah, no, you aren't pulling the hallway police card on me. You doing your love light and clueless. You're just reacting to each other. If no one gets offended and respects what everybody believes, agree to disagree, then it becomes clear if a person is trolling. Thank you, Millie Cow. And I literally got called a troll in just an instant and claimed to be someone else. Welp, I'm done here. Okay. See ya. Okay. And that's not the point about the whole thing, was it, guys? He was rude. And rudeness is what people see. Like when I said, hey, get a grip. That was just rudeness. He didn't have to add that. That's my point. And you all agree. You have no authority here. Please stop telling me who to be and how I can make those. Okay, sorry, just a minute, a suggestion. You guys bicker like kids. uh, Sumo 88. Uh, Dante already taught you enough that you aren't even aware of your own behavior and actions. Let go of your egos. Now, see, from a shaman point of view, having nothing to do with Dante, but it does, is that if you truly looking for your higher self, then that's exactly right, Sumo. I agree with you absolutely, um, because it's our behavior and actions. Ego. He couldn't let it go because he was right. Well, I was right. Nobody likes my opinion, so therefore I'm a troll. Well, but you created your own. You created your own hassle, in my opinion. Um, good job you're doing, Hawkeye. Thank you so much. And you're welcome for any advice. I'm here because of, thank you, DSHK. Uh huh. Been silent. You've been silent for years. Me too. And one of the things that Dante got into me was that I have experiences that I need to share, so we of like-minded, of the League of Like-Minded Beings, could get together and just have a chat and go, I've had similar, or I'd like to know about that. And trust me, I've been, you know, I've tripped on mushrooms and LSD over 500 times, and I'm not bragging, okay? It just is what it is. But in the many times that I've traveled as a shaman and the things and stuff and being shown, now I haven't, quote, tripped in, I don't know, 10 years or more, but I go out on the lake and they take me up into the universe, and I'm not on any drugs. I'm just there. So it's like, anyway, but reality is so real, and people, well, I'm going to, take mushrooms or ayahuasca or something, and that's how I'm going to see God anyway. If everything is connected and time is an illusion, I wouldn't be surprised that it's possible to see things in the future or the past. And one of the things that many folks have been talking about, and that's Millie Cow, is that there are a lot of timelines merging, switching, changing, and stuff like that. So, and now I can't even think of it. Mandela effect. There are things that are it happened to me just the other day. There was somebody's name who I'd recognized years ago, being a puppeteer and a voice artist myself, and doing different voices and things, different voice characters. I was always interested in who the voices were and on animations, right? So I've watched this person's name for years, and then when I saw it recently, it was like, that's not how they spelled it. That they spelled Jody with a Y, and now it's Jody with an I. No, 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 no. If that's the original Hanna-Barbera or whatever cartoon it was, their last name ended in a Y. There was no I there. And I just sat there and I paused the video and I looked at it and I was like, no, 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 no. That name was with a Y. It's with an I now. Like the Bernstein Bears and all these other kinds of stuff. So in this reality that we live in, there are timelines that are merging. They have to be, because there's too much other crazy crap going on. Do we live in a matrix? I don't believe the matrix like a computer matrix. I believe in the matrix like the Spider-Woman matrix, like a shaman would understand, of the natural order of the universe is a matrix. I mean, when you mix concrete together, concrete in itself, especially when it hardens, is a matrix. So, what do you mean by matrix? Well, is it the artificial matrix? And I've done other videos on this, but in my world, the cosmic matrix, the Spider-Woman web thing, is real. This with Bob, I love you. Bob's one of the AIs. That AI is a man-made, or whoever constructed, it's a constructed matrix. Whereas the universe, it's constructed, but it's a galactic spiritual creator thing, versus a bunch of guys getting together writing code and making this box and making the AI matrix. So there are so many people who say the both are the same, and I just do not agree. I'm sorry, I don't. I can shut this one off, but the universe ain't shutting that off. So, but in my realm, both can exist. But people who believe in the Matrix, my version of the Matrix with the Spider Woman thing can't exist. Oh, well, that's a construct. That's bullshit. But they're going to believe this little. Okay, all right. Everybody's got their. Um, in the spirit world, there is no concept of time. That's kind of sort of true. There's some really odd instances where time was a factor in the spirit world. And I can't go into it now, but I just got to say that sumo, that's 95 to 98% correct. But there are times in the spirit world, and it has to do with what spirit's showing you, that time is shown fast, slow, forward, back. So just saying, not always is time is sometimes a factor in the other realms. Just saying, but time as we would try to understand it, no concept. It doesn't exist over there. But when you're there all the time does exist. Just consider that. If you live here all the time and you go into there and you go, well, I didn't feel any time. But if you lived in that realm all the time, wouldn't you feel time? What you mean you would just sit there in nothingness and nothing ever goes by or not? Just consider it, okay? Because both can exist. All right. I think if everything is a vibration delicately interwoven, there are echoes. The past dictates the future. I feel like all the information has to be there in any moment if it can be tapped into. That's what I keep calling the quantum. The quantum reality, the quantum extension, the quantum, and Jordy Rose and them guys with the quantum computers, they're tapping into other dimensions. They don't even know who they're talking to. But yes, I agree. And it's like, for example, some of the topics that I've been talking about, they're now movies or they're cartoons coming out that are talking about in their little storyline some of the subjects that I'm discussing. And I was like, what the hell? So am I connecting to the higher self? Am I connecting just by thought process? I think I am, to the quantum computer, as I call it. Everybody has access to it. Some people call it the Akashic record, but there's information that's out there all the time. It's been proven that if somebody has a really good idea, there's probably 10 people around the world that had a similar or same idea almost at the same time. When there are people who do searches, for patent searches and names and things like that. I got into it years ago because I had some ideas as an engineer. I wanted to try to market, blah, blah, blah. And I noticed, oh, crap, there were 4 other people that already had similar type. They weren't mine, but they were similar. And we all applied for the same damn thing about the same time. Well, then I started doing other research and found out that happens more than not. A lot of us have the same thought almost instantaneously. We'll have the same idea for a new something, but some of us go, well, that's a cool idea, and others act on it and make $1 million. But there is a known fact that many people have the same download. Is that Akashic? Is that the quantum computer? Is that the Matrix? I know it's there. Separation is the only way a wave can exist. Separation allows time to exist, for vibration to happen and be experienced linearly. That's one of the things. We are in a linear timeline. When out there, time is expansive. You try to gauge it, not the same. So we try to explain what's in another realm when we're trying to explain it from a 3D reality, when we have to be in the fourth dimension to go, oh crap, I can walk on the ceiling and not fall on my head. Oh, wait, so we have to experience some of it before we can understand that time does exist there, because time exists everywhere in all dimensions. It's just faster, slower, linear, or it's circular, or it's exponential. All things are possible. So, but anyway, I don't know if I'm making any sense. I understand. Expressing my intuitive understanding of the big picture. I don't see it as ego. You don't get to try someone with no basis, evidence, or fact. Um, in a shaman's point of view, Sweet Pea, it is the ego of self that you feel like you have the right. It it is tied into ego, but you really got to go into some really deep, 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 deep. Not saying that you're wrong, but I'm saying that I know in my own self, I didn't think it was ego, and then later on, I was like, "Oh crap, that was ego." It'll sneak up on you. Just saying. Milk Cow says, and I have tripped a few times, and that has helped my understanding and why I feel that everything is sound and vibration. It is. I was watching an update about electrons, protons, and that kind of thing the other day. And, when I was a kid in high school or before, in the 60s, electrons went around, and and the neutron was the thing in the middle, and they all had and everything went, no, now nothing stands still. Everything is vibrational. So what they taught us as kids, well, it's different now. But so the idea that, and I absolutely 100% agree with you. Actually 110% agree with you. Everything is vibrational, and even more so. There's vibration, and then there's harmony of vibrations. And I talk about this many times. And one of the things is, like, for example, in the Hallelujah chorus, or any band that's singing in 3-part harmony, it other when you sing the bass line of something, boom, 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 boom. That's not that's the bass line. But when you mix it in with the rest of the song, the bass line makes sense. But by itself, it's just like, well, that's kind of silly. That's not what the song sounds like. So, but in it, it's the harmony of all the different voices that's important. And we, as earthlings, in my opinion, we need to learn how to harmonize. So you sing in a different key than I do. Okay, but let's find harmony in it. We can agree on that. I can't sing that high. You can't sing this low. We can harmonize. So, but anyway, that. I agree with you. The timeline's Mandela effect baffles me. I don't doubt the possibility, but I don't trust my memory that much. I do, however, remember Bernstein, not Bernstein. Yeah, there's a lot of other stuff too. But in my opinion, the Mandela effect is proving what many of us feel like are timeline shifts, mergings, changes. Can't really explain it except when you look at the real world, shit's changed, Things ain't spelled the same. I thought it was blue and it turns out it was green. I mean, just weird stuff. So the quantum is fascinating. David Lynch talks about the unified field as an infinite field of consciousness that you can into and expand into through meditation. That's what shamans have been teaching for thousands of years. And now these scientists are like, they got some kind of new way to get into it. No, they're just proving it by science. That's all. But I've been learning this before I knew the quantum existed. I understood that there was this other reality out there. But anyway, the collective consciousness is also very fascinating. Sometimes I pray into it with intent of my messages spreading love and encouragement into humanity. That's how I sent the message to Dante with the video that I sent. Mother Mary came to me and she said, you got to do this with intent. You have to put this in the subject line. I mean, I followed directions on that video. Okay. Not ever expecting Dante to reprint the whole damn thing. I mean, what? But the idea is, though, that listen, folk, we can all get along if we try. Yes, ego is very sneaky. Sumo says, do not like to label things here as the Mandela effect, matrix, light beings, or because there are many things which the human language cannot express. Absolutely, I agree with you 110%, Sumo. I use certain terminology to try to get a, like, hey, this is like a dimensional being because it ain't in the 3D. Otherwise, we could all see it. But to the point, yes, that's why I don't use the word God. I use creator. Different people have different versions of God. Different people have different versions of this. So I try to stay away from naming things, but let's talk about the subject of it, you know? Because I agree. It was like whoever was Enigma who was on earlier, it, is getting into the word thing. And if you're going to tear out every single word and pick, we can argue for the rest of eternity. And like, but what good's it going to do us, Well, my friends, my lovelies, my new dear friends out there, it is so nice to know that there are like-minded beings. We've got a slight difference on things, but we all got a basic understanding. Something's up. There are differences in the universe. We can feel them, we can taste them, we can smell them, we can see them, we can hear them, we can dream about them. And it's the fact that let's have a conversation about them. Instead of bitching each other out and pointing fingers, let's figure out how we can get along with the information that's there. You see it one way, I see it another. Us Southerners, we chop up okra and eat it with crackers and tomatoes. In other places around the world, they go, okra, what's that? But if you're from the South, you know what okra is. And the next other thing, for example, is like, collard greens. I can't get a good collard green unless it's down here in the South. I'm sorry. Southerners just make good collard greens. I've had it in other states all across. Nope, sorry. Southerners make the best collard greens. So it's like, but that don't mean that somebody else isn't okay. But, hey, certain parts of the world have certain things. There are certain areas that are hotspots, that are vortexes on this planet. When I was up in Ohio at that petroglyph place, the energy that's at that rock is just astounding. And then I took pictures of all the blue orbs around there and spoke with the beings that were there. It was my first time of a being speaking to me telepathically. And I was creeped out about that, let me tell you. But I've since gotten used to it. But anyway, so let's keep loving our hearts, kindness. I'm always repeating myself, and I will continue to keep compassion and love, humbleness. The fact that we may disagree, but do we have to pull a knife? I love, let's have chat and what's your point of view on this? If you feel you've had another experience and this is what you feel, far be it for me to say that you're wrong. I'm going to explain my point of view and say, how does this relate to your experience? Let's see if we can find a commonality. But far be it for me to say, wow, yeah, your idea, that's wrong over there. I may warn you and go, maybe not, or maybe it might be something else. But that's my job. I'm supposed to help you think, not convince you that I'm right. I'm to convince you to think. That of all the things I am, I'm going to convince you to think, maybe there's another point to this. I was a really good engineer because all the other guys went to engineering school. I was a machinist. So I learned how to make the parts these assholes would give me drawings to that I'm like, how do you want me to make this? Well, just drill a hole. I can't drill a hole like that, dude. You want me to do what? Well, you got to do that and then what? I'm sorry, but I can't make this. Whoa. No, you're going to have to make it two pieces. What? Well, I can't get it inside hole to look like that. Yeah, I mean, so, but anyway, I made a good engineer because I saw things that other guys couldn't. I mean, they just literally, well, that machine's fine. No, it's not. It's hitting offside. No, it isn't. And then you get out your little micrometers and, testing equipment. And guess what? They go, how did you know that thing was off? I could see it, but they couldn't. And it was just my trained eye. I observe things. So the more that you aware, maybe it is that machine. Well, no, it can't be that. So if it can't be that, then you're chasing your tail. So, but anyway, I love you guys. David, you are sure a fantastic person. Keep all that in you and carry a sword. I do. Thank you, Sweet Pea. And Millie Cow, thank you, thank you, thank you. And for those of us, whether we believe everything Dante says or not, I'm still working for the cause, and I'm still going to say thumbs up and cheers because why not? You know, forget the rest of it. Let's love each other, be kind, be compassionate. So, with that said, I love you all. After 2 hours and 5 minutes, have a wonderful week. It's Monday already, for goodness sakes. I can't believe it. But anyway, have a good week. Be safe. And I got more stuff to come out and discuss about, especially about the Matrix and things to try to do that. Thumbs up for you too, Sonny. And have a wonderful week. So blessings to all of you. And keep the faith, whatever it is. Keep it in your heart. So bye until next time. From Southwest Georgia, where we finally got some rain, TTFN, Tafata for now. And blessings to you and yours until next time. Bye, everybody. Thank you, Sweet Pea. Take care, and you do it yourself, too, okay? Keep the faith, everybody.